Sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary AFL podcast for season 2022. I'm Pez. I'm here with Sauce. We're back better than ever for another big year of AFL footy.
Welcome back, Pez. Great to be here. Great to have footy back. The newspapers slowly are building, and you can start to see those stories. They've had the practice matches finished. They've had your intra-clubs. And, Pez, we had the all-important season openers, the NAB Cup that was going ahead, or whatever it's called now. What's it called now, Pez?
I think it's the Ansett Australia Cup, still from '97, isn't it? Something like that. But never too much interest in the pre-season, but it was good to have the footy on in the background, even on Monday night yesterday as well. Sauce watching the Cats play Gold Coast, so you can never really take too much out of it. Round one is always, flip of the coin, and we get to see that and experience that next Wednesday night, pumped up for the start of the season, and we'll be pumping out our show week to week, so make sure you tune in.
Yeah, definitely. It was good to have the Amy community series there back, Pez, and it was good to have it on the background. I sat down and watched the first half of the Cats, and just like the Cats, packed up after half time and went to bed because it is the practice games, and after a grueling couple of seasons with the Festival of Footy and back-to-back weeks and the pandemic, Pez, it was good to have a bit of a break and have an off-season, and I think that the players definitely enjoyed it. I think a lot of players have come back and started to relish in the grueling process that he's getting back into match fitness. But Pez, what about yourself getting back into match fitness? Did you enjoy your pre-season? Did you have a lengthy one?
Oh, it was a very lengthy pre-season, but I tell you what, the fans are rolling their eyes after your comments there. Speaking about Geelong in depth again already in a pre-season match. Source. I know they played last night. I threw out the bait, a little bit of lure there, and you've jumped on board. So the fans, they don't want to hear you, just about Geelong all the time. Let's make 2022 a passive year. Speak about everyone. We speak about all clubs on this show.
Yep, New Year's resolution, Pez. New year, new me, new podcast. I will not be talking about the pussies from this point on in depth like I have in the past, Pez. But let's get on to the important stuff, Pez. Are you ready for this year?
I am ready. It was a long preseason. There was not a lot of footy and not a lot of footy news, and I kind of zoned out of the footy news and away from the Fox Footy channel on Foxtel there. So I was watching a lot of other sports. We've got NBA, we've got cricket and things like that, and just enjoying myself, enjoying the time off, summer, Christmas with the family, and that's about it.
It was good to be able to get out and about, and the easing of the pandemic restrictions and being able to enjoy and trying to teach ourselves how to socialise again, Pez. And like we are doing this first podcast of the season via Zoom, giving me some PSD sort of a little bit of trauma with the memories of going back into our bedrooms and isolating and doing our recordings, in isolation as just mentioned. But it is good to be able to enjoy the preseason, Pez, and it was good to step away from football, step away from the podcast, and spend time with family over Christmas. And I did catch COVID over the break, and it was not too bad, but had my jab, had my third booster, had a nice 7 days in isolation. The rest of the family got it, which was really fun. But other than that, it's been really good to enjoy the break. A couple of bevies, a couple of the very best, Pez, and enjoy some other sports. And I'll be honest, Pez, I did get a little bit of footy fatigue coming out of last season, and it's good to be able to feel refreshed and rejuvenated into this new 2022 season.
Well, you did mention it, and the last two seasons have been very, very different with a lot of games interstate, and hopefully, being members of the AFL or your club, we can get back to live footy in 2022 because we love going to the footy on the weekend and watching it live, which we haven't been able to do for the majority of two seasons.
And it was announced during the week that the MCG is back to full capacity. I'm sure you'll still have to check in and do all the due diligence in terms of the COVID-safe protocols that have been put in place and slowly easing and slowly still checking your QR codes, Pez. But it's great to have footy back. It's great to have the MCG, and I cannot wait for that opening bounce, unfortunately on the Wednesday night, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But that opening bounce and a full-packed MCG ready for the season opener.
Yeah, we've got to love it, and we've got something coming up about that where we will talk about that. But make sure you jump on to our socials where you can keep a track of what we're doing this season and keep up to date with all the news at Behind the Bound on Twitter, which is where we post things like our bet slips that we've done in the past and any other things that we are going to be pumping out on the socials. Make sure you get on there, give us a follow, give us a like on those things. And one very important thing that is out on the socials at the moment, Source, is a link to our, I don't know how many years we've done it now, but our famous loser comp.
Yeah, Pez, this is the fourth season of the podcast, and it is the third season that we're running as the official podcast. It's probably the fifth season I've been doing it as an actual competition as well, but third year of the podcast, and it's a great comp. Last year, the winner took home over $800. They took home, it was $840. All the prize winnings goes to the winner. Winner takes all sort of comp, Pez. For people that don't know, take us through. It's a simple competition, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always simple, and when you explain it to someone for the first time, they think, "Oh, this is going to be easy," and then they realize how hard it actually is. So our comp, a little bit different. You got to pick the loser. Oh, that's easy, Source. I can pick North every single week. No, you cannot, because you can only pick each team once. So if you pick North in round one, you're going to survive there. You're going to keep a life, and you're going to keep going. Now, I mentioned the life, Source. In our comp, you do get a life. So if you do get it wrong in round, your $20 hasn't gone abyss. It is still there in the wakes, ready to win back. But you do have to get everything right from there on in. So you get a life, go again. 2 wrong answers during the season, and you are Gornsky out of there. See you later.
Pez, that's super easy. There's the 18 teams, but there's only 22 rounds, Pez. What happens if it gets all the way through?
If it gets all the way through, you can start again, and we'll give you a bonus bit of prize money there if anyone does make it past the 18 rounds. It's ended very quickly in some years, and it's gone pretty deep in some years, but nowhere close to 18 rounds.
I think the first year we ran at Pez, we had 30 entrants or something, and it was all done and dusted by round 7. So that was a nice little. And there was a lot of people like, "Oh, can we do it again because we want some interest in that?" It's like, no, round 7 is fine. The next year, I think it got to round 12. Then we were back to round 9. Last year was the longest that had been. Was round 16. I guess it was a little bit more predictable in the pandemic, and with all the uncertainty of teams being in and out, it was a little bit easier with the list being a little bit depleted to be able to pick them. But I'm assuming this year, Pez, with one of the closest comps that I'm thinking for 2022 in the AFL, the margin from the top teams and the bottom teams is probably the closest it's been in a long time, and I'm tipping it's going to be a very, very tough comp to go past round 10.
Oh, 100%. With over 40 entrants last year, we're trying to get that up again. And if you're $20, it's a lot of fun. You can go onto the Facebook group and have a little bit of banter on there. And I love the banter last year between the final 2 contestants, where one of them actually wanted to split it, Source, because they didn't have the teams left that they thought were good for them, and the other person did. And the other person's like, "No way, I'm not splitting it." And then what happened? The person that didn't want to split it ended up losing. So he lost his $20, and the other bloke ended up making the $820 profit.
Yeah,
ROI.
It was definitely a little bit of drama in that Facebook group, and you could see the little emojis and the little what are they called, the gifs that were going back and forth. It was some great banter, Pez, as you said. And what's really exciting about this comp is for the first time that we've ever been able to do the comp, that you are able to have multiple entries. So that's really exciting for the comp. We've got a couple people that are putting in there. You've just got to put the little number next to their name. I've had a couple inquiries, so you can do multiple entries. Make sure you obviously differ your name a little bit. Pez will be making his yearly donation that he makes to the comp because he doesn't get very far, so that'll be super exciting. You can go head-to-head against Pez for the first 3 rounds, and then head-to-head against the rest of the league for the for the remainder of the 20 rounds.
That's it. I remember that one year there was half the contestants got the first week they lost their life in round one, and then
that was last year, Pez. That was the Adelaide Geelong one. That was last year, where half the league was gone.
A couple of people out in 2 rounds as well, and people were gone. And see you later. And if you do pay your $20, you don't have to tip, but it just means you can't win, and you'll be out in round 2 like one of our entrants last year who made a very kind $20 donation, as well as myself.
So the premise of this long conversation, Pez, is it's a lot of fun. You can hear it in our voices that we do enjoy this comp. We believe in the comp. We love it. It is a bit of fun. It is a different twist and a different way to watch football, and it is quite hard to get your head around it as a tipper to be tipping the loser. But if you're anything like Pez as a normal tipper, that's just pretend to tip the winners and you'll get the loser quite easy there. Otherwise, jump to all of our socials, as Pez has mentioned, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram. Follow the links there. If you're unsure of how to get to the links, just send us a private message or tweet at us at Behind the Boundary. Join the Jot form, fill in, pretty simple, and then flick across your $20 to our account. And most of all, tell everyone that you know, get everyone involved, and let's get this pool prize above that $800, Pez, and make it bigger and better than last year.
That's what we need to do. But we know our listeners love to leave their entries to the last minute. And we had a couple of people that missed out last year's source to join the comp, because it would have been around $900 in prize money. But the 3 people said, "Oh, can I join it hasn't started." No, there's a deadline and there are rules in place, and they're there on that link. So jump on it today or tomorrow. When you get a spare minute, please jump on, tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know, share it around your social medias, and let's make this comp ginormous.
Yeah, cannot wait, Pez. Only 8 days to go, so make sure you get those entrants in super quick. And as I said, multiple entrants if you want. Just chuck in a different sort of nickname there and make your $20 donation. I shouldn't say donation, Pez, but make your $20 entry fee and enjoy the tipping as we do every year.
So you're confident as always, Source, but you haven't won it yet. So
I got pretty close last year.
I'm not just talking about 2022.
I got pretty close last year.
About other years as well. So you just settle down on that. But we're excited to be back. You can hear it in our voices. And let's continue on with the show. What we do here at Behind the Bound, if you haven't listened and you're a first-time listener, welcome. We've got some little fun segments that we do throughout the weeks, and you won't see the same ones all the time, Source. And I wonder which one we're going to do today.
Well, let's have a listen for the first segment of 2022, Pez. Sit back and enjoy.
Just on behalf of both sides, I want to thank the crowd. And he's given an Essendon supporter a moment he will never forget.
An opportunity that he'll never forget, Pez. This is where we put it back from the fans. Over the break, we've had an abundance of questions in our socials. As mentioned, Behind the Bound, jump on and leave a message or query. We've had people that have taken the lead, and some of our fans have left us a range of different questions and are asking our opinions, not just about how to avoid a losing bet slip like, neither of us actually, because we've had a proper winning seasons for the 4th year in a row, Pez, but we'll talk about that a lot later.
That's important to mention. That's very important.
It is very important, so quite often we have people look out to us.
All those first-time listeners that are here, yes, we do have a punting segment on this show where we put out our best bets for the round, and is it 4 seasons or 5 seasons, Source?
4 seasons.
4 seasons. We have been profitable in every single season. So no losing year from either host, myself or Source. So very impressive. I'm going to make it 5 years in a row this year. So jump on board and join along the fun.
Yes, 5 years in a row, Pez. And what that does mean is that a lot of our fans who listen to the show, they quite often reach out to us and ask us questions about advice, how their team's going to go, and what their thoughts are going forward. We had a lot of people ask some questionable things about our letter predictions last year, which we will get into later in the coming days, Pez. We'll get into in another show. But what we're going to do from the fans is what we have done is collected a lot of those messages, those tweets, those emails, and we've collated a selection of questions that a lot of people were asking about the upcoming 2022 season, Pez. Let's get things started with the first one. Have you got the first question there, Pez?
I do, but I just wanted to mention another tweet with people saying, when's the show coming out? They're trying to shorten my holidays. We've been on holidays. The footy doesn't start till the 16th of March. So we're lucky to be doing it so early. in all honesty.
And Pez, if you're a big podcast listener and you listen to the Hamish and Andy podcast, as they say, there's the government-mandated podcast break, and Hamish and Andy didn't come back till last week, and we're much the same. We're bound by those sort of rules. So, I'm taking someone else's joke, but it leads into it. So I don't want to shorten our holidays. This is our full-time job. Full-time job, Pez.
I want a little bit more, but the boss said you've got to be back. The fans are hungry. They're salivating. All right, first question from multiple fans here. Preseason structure. What do you guys think of this year's one and done preseason structure? Source.
I mean, we've spoken about this in the past about the preseason. The preseason's a really difficult time because you don't get a true indication of the football. I think this year's preseason structure of officially one AAMI Community Series game was really good just for the fatigue, I think, of fans and sports fans. And I spoke to you this a little bit about in the break, Pez, was I think that a lot of people just in general, haven't been talking about AFL, and there hasn't been as much hype coming into the season because people were so fatigued. I think the structure this year of the one game and having the intra-clubs and the practice clubs games beforehand and not really televised has been fantastic, and I think it's really good. Does it give you what you want in terms of an off-season competition and have you give you a true indication to be able to work out if your team is good or who's not? No. But as a fan, it allows every team to be able to, one small sample size of, yes, my team is good, no, my team is working on it. And from all the people I've spoken to, they were able to grab one thing out of their preseason game. So I like the one and done sort of thing. You're able to get a little bit about the team, enough to be able to make round one a proper indication of how the season is going to, and keep that hype. I think there's nothing worse than having a team go in and win 6 of their preseason games, and then you got all this expectation, and then round one, when other teams are actually playing, that disappointment. So I think it builds the hype of the actual 2022 season. It leaves us, thirsty for that standard of football in round one that we love, and it sort of, appeases people's expectations of their own team.
Yeah, and everyone's, got a right to watch the footy the way they want to watch it, and I've been going on about it for years, how this ladders and finals and winning a preseason cup or a premiership is ridiculous, and it has been for most of the 2000s, the last 22 years, because players didn't want to win it, coaches didn't want to win it. That was very, very evident, and it just took away from the whole notion of a competition. So going in with only one game against another club that's televised and on Foxtel, whatever it is, I think it's really, really good for fans that are really invested and want to watch their club and see a little bit of what they're doing, if players are coming back from injury, how they're looking. You see some of the draftees and the younger guys who usually get a chance during these games as well. So there is a purpose for preseason games, but there isn't a purpose for preseason champions and competitions and things like that. We get straight into it in round one where it starts to go. And in saying that, the players need to prepare as well, Source. So they do need some form of preseason competition, and they're going to do it, whether it's televised or not. So the AFL have said, you know what, this one and done, we'll televise it, try and keep the fans happy. The players are there, ready to go. Nothing worse than seeing one of your players from your club get a serious injury in a preseason game. That means absolutely nothing. But players were going hammer and tong. They're trying to get fit. A lot of players trying to put their hand up for round one, and it's what we love about footy.
It is, Pez, that excitement of a lot of debutants making into round one, or the new club they had to prove themselves. It gives the fans a little bit of taste in it, and it's good. I think the one and done has been successful this year. Every year they play with it. Every year they change it. They've done a whole range of different things. I'm sure next year will be no different. So I like this evolution of the preseason comp, and I think I hope it stays. This one and done sort of thing, but we know the AFL, as they change things quite regularly, it'll probably change next year.
Well, that'd be it. You want me to throw you the next question that we've jumped in here?
No, I can jump in there, Pez. I've jumped in our live doc and chucked that in there because you didn't do your job in the preparation, but that's fine. Nothing I'm not used to there, Pez. We had the big news.
Something I am used to, and I'm going to cut you off there because you've started already this season. You try and make it seem like I didn't do anything, but I was the one that put that one in there. So
which
I know
one?
What you're talking about and trying to make the fans listen to. Well, the one you're about to say.
What, the one that's next in line? The one that I typed in while you were talking? Are you talking about that one?
The one that I definitely typed, because those are the words that I typed. So you ask the question, I type. Sauce, go on.
Okay. Oh, you've just changed it, you flog. I've just seen you copy and paste it. Either way, you can see that the banter is real, Pez. And if this is any indication of how the season is going to pan out, I'm going to be dreading coming to the studio and recording with you, because this sort of immature behaviour of copying and pasting while we're talking and making it out like you do everything is just childish. Just childish, Pez. You're better than that.
No response.
No response. All right, I'll ask the next one. We had the big news of Isaac Heaney signing a massive 6-year deal. Actually, only last week. The question that's come in, and it came in quite fluently and quite regularly, is why are Sydney leading the way in long-time signings? Is this stupid or is this smart? And I guess the obvious reference there is to the Buddy Franklin one and the debate that people say, was that a success because there was no premiership? Pez, stupid or smart? Locking up Isaac Heaney before he goes out of contract at the end of the year?
Well, this is the hard thing for me. Like, Sydney have done that with Isaac Heaney and Lance Franklin, as you said, for 10 years. Who else can you think of off the top of your head who's had a long-term signing 5+ years?
Grundy, he was probably the other one that was pretty close.
So Brody Grundy, 5 years, about $1 million a year, and people have, jumped on that and said that as a failure. Now, Lance Franklin, it can be seen, we spoke about this on one of our shows last year, I remember vividly. We've got, on one side, it's a failure because they didn't win a premiership. But on the other side, the publicity that they got and the numbers and the money that they've made from the signing of Lance Franklin, it could be seen as a positive. So you can lean either way there. Isaac Heaney, one of our favourites here at Behind the Boundary. Even when he was injured, we did not take him off our intro source because we just wanted that little reminder of him coming back. And he did look fantastic in that one and done preseason game on the weekend. Now, if I was Sydney and I could do it, I'd sign him up because he is a machine. Midfield, goes up forward, take an overhead mark, kick goals. He is a 3-vote getter when healthy in this competition. And if you can have that and lock that player into your club for 5+ years, I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
For me, it's really hard to say whether it's smart or stupid at the start of it. If you look at history, I'd say it's strictly stupid because we've had Nat Fyfe had 6 years and he won a Brownlow. They got into a premiership? They didn't win one. Was it a success? Yes or no? You can't tell without this. If you're measuring just on the win alone, no, it wasn't a success. Tom Boyd, he signed 6 years with GWS. Have they got a premiership? No. Lance Franklin, he signed 9 years. Is there a premiership? No. So, the way history actually pulls out, those 6 years plus deals don't work because they haven't ended in any premierships. None of them.
Hey, the Bulldogs paid Tom Boyd $1 million and they got a premiership.
No premiership. All right, so moving forward, that doesn't count. So those 6 year deals don't work. If we're looking If we're looking at locking up a young star, who has already started to deliver and has so much potential, and that was the difference between him leaving and not money. Like if they've saved coin in terms of the actual cost of the contract, and we don't know because those things aren't released, then yeah, it's a great move. It's smart. He's young. He's successful. As you said, he's one of the favourites because he does bring excitement. He kicks those goals he needs to. He stands up in big moments. So it's really a 50-50 one, and it's really measured on, if we're measuring success of a premiership, time will tell. But at the moment, looking at from the onsite and the way the stats weigh up, it's dumb. But if it's the only thing that was the difference between him walking out the door and signing free agency, then yeah, you tie him up for 6 years because he's young. He's under 25. Like, why wouldn't you? So I like the move personally. I think it's fantastic. I think 6 years, and I think it's gone under the radar a little bit because it is quite a big deal. 6 years, you'd say it's a decent amount of coin, and it's the first cornerstone in recruiting the rest of those young players. And that's the key moment for Sydney is they had a really big bounce out season last year. They overachieved to a lot of people, and that's what you got to do in terms of building something that's that's got some longevity. Boom, you sign up one of the stars, and he definitely is a straight out star.
Idea for your source. Idea here. What the AFL should do. What they should do. Free agency comes in unrestricted after 7 years of playing in the league. Correct?
Yep.
So if you're drafted to a club and you show loyalty, which we've seen in the last 5 years, loyalty is becoming more and more rare. If you are loyal to your club and you sign with you have the opportunity to sign with your club, or you have an opportunity to sign as an unrestricted free agent elsewhere. I think the AFL should boost your salary by 10% if you decide to stay loyal after that 7 years and don't go to chase premierships, and you stay loyal to your club. You get a 10% extra boost in your pay, not coming from the individual club.
Yeah, man, it's very similar to the NBA sort of mark that they've got, is that you're drafted by that club. You obviously you sign your rookie extension, and then if you sign your rookie extension, you have your Larry Bird rights, your Bird rights that, and if you do continually to sign, then you're able to go for bigger and better contracts, and you're more motivated by bigger contracts and money funded by the NBA and funded by the AFL. You get more salary cap exemption if you stay with those teams. So that puts that premise on looking after those young players early on. I don't know if 7 years is the right thing. I think that if we could make it shorter, because a lot of players are leaving when they hit 23, 24, which is about that 4-5 year mark. So I think in those first 4 or 5 years, maybe make it a little bit shorter, then you're able to retain that homegrown talent and allow kids the proper opportunity to be able to develop. Because realistically, for a lot of these kids coming into the AFL system, they don't debut until 2021, 22. So you're signing your rookie extension, you may not even get a go in there. So I love the premise of it, Pez. I would just shorten the years, maybe make it a 5-year deal or 6-year deal. Maybe not that 7. That 7's a little bit long, because that's, 25, 26, right in your prime.
Well, there you have it. There's a floated idea to the AFL, and I think you should be able to make more money if you stay loyal, just to try and bring that loyalty back into AFL footy. Because as we know, if nothing changes in the next 5 years, it'll just be club hopping. When players are a little bit older, just to try and get that premiership medal and get something for their careers there.
And I think, Pez, we both are Minnesota Timberwolves fans, and they're small market teams. What we definitely have seen in the NBA with these new rules that increase the money and potential earnings by staying with the team that draft you, you're seeing more success, and you're giving those teams, those smaller market teams, more opportunity at holding big stars and recruiting big stars even, because you've obviously got one superstar there. So it doesn't really work the same in AFL because the money is different, but we do see a lot of players go to those big clubs, and the teams like North Melbourne and St Kilda and the Western, up until last year, the Western Bulldogs haven't really been teams and destination spots. So I love it in theory, Pez, because we want to see the AFL, as we said, even across the league.
Yeah, and we watch AFL players with interest, and we get really heartbroken when they leave your club because they're going for higher contracts somewhere else. But you've got to bring it back to your own life, in your job, in your wherever you are. Whatever you do for a job, there's a competitor. And if a competitor that was 10 minutes down the road offered you an extra 10% salary per year, you would most likely go to the competitor because you're getting more money. So it's very similar in that way.
It is very similar, Pez, and it's very interesting that we've talked about the workforce in this one, because the next one, question that I can see on the spreadsheet, which I'll let you read out because you did write all these questions apparently.
We had to collate them and do everything. I've been on holidays for long. I can't remember what I'm doing, but this is all about Ben King, and shocking news over the preseason where he had a confirmed ACL injury and he is done for the season. The big superstar forward up there for the Gold Coast Suns. We know he's got a twin brother, Max, who also did an ACL early on in his career and got drafted by the Saints there. But the question is, does the injury impact the Gold Coast chances of re-signing Ben King? What are your thoughts?
Pez, unfortunately, we refer to the Gold Coast as the graveyard because people's career go up to the die there, and we do that not for a reason other than 6 of the past 7 seasons, they've finished in the bottom 4. They had 1 year where they were out of it, and that year that they were out of it, who was their best player? Ben King. He was killing it down there. King was kicking.
I'm going back further.
Kicking goals, and they were really dominating, Pez, but it's a graveyard, and I think the fact that he hasn't already signed, and now he's got this big injury, there's no way that he's coming back unless they throw a massive contract at him. But he's coming off a pretty serious knee injury. He's it would be a dangerous move for them to throw a lot of money at him and throw a long contract at him. It's unfortunate for both parties, and I think this plays a huge part of him actually, being swayed by a lot of other clubs. And unfortunately, from all reports, and we only know for the players that have left the Gold Coast, we talked about this a couple of years ago, their rehabbing systems and their medical doctors up there haven't been great in retaining players with long-term injuries. So that is a concern as well. So I think it actually really hurts their chances of re-signing him, and it brings forth the RIP date, Pez, the Gold Coast graveyard. I think it's just a matter of time, realistically, and I don't want to be talking about this all year long because they were exciting to watch last year when they were up and about, but I actually think it really, really makes their future look pretty bleak.
Oh, ouch. I would be, happy to hear that if I had the same view as you, Source, because being a St Kilda fan, his twin brothers down there, and St Kilda fan growing up. But you speak about the recovery of the injury, and if you're going to offer him a big contract, you've seen his twin brother actually recover from an ACL injury and start to, come and play some good footy again. And I actually think I was shattered when I heard this news because I love watching Ben King play, and I really did want to get him down at St Kilda the season after with his twin brother Max, but I don't think it's going to help because I think Gold Coast are going to put everything into him in his recovery now. I think they're going to help him out. They're going to settle him up there, and they're actually going to offer him something decent, which I don't think St Kilda can take that risk having Max King coming off at ACL and having done that already, and then offering Ben King a lot of money coming off ACL as well. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think he might re-sign with the Gold Coast Suns during the first half of the season.
But I think it's not only them that are going to be throwing money at him. Like if he's an out and out star, he's a dominant forward, and we've seen look at like Lynch that moved from there a couple of years ago. He had a huge injury. He had some disconnect from the club. He walked out the door straight into a premiership side in Richmond. They got better. Boom, there's his premiership. There's no reason why some of these teams at the top can't throw him. You look at all the Melbourne teams. He's a Victorian. You've got the obvious ones of the teams up and about now at the moment. You've got Melbourne who they'll be looking for a forward over the next couple of years. They haven't got it, that dominant forward. Bailey, so Fritsch has been really fantastic up there, but like realistically, is he a number one tall forward? I don't know about that. You look at North Melbourne, like they could use with a tall forward. They lost Ben Brown. I mean, he's at Melbourne as well as the other tall forward. There's going to be a lot of offers coming in from him, and what's motivating him to stay outside of money? Potential to win. If they have another 4 or 5 game win season, especially the last 6 or 7 years have been around about the same mark. As an AFL and as a professional, Pez, don't you want the best for your career? Don't you want to be winning? That's why you play footy, to win premierships. And if he's not seeing that off the park, I don't know how he can be motivated to stay outside of a massive, massive deal, which then puts the rest of his players around him in detriment because they're out there working and they're going to be trying to recruit and keep those players and retain those players as well.
Well, very interesting. We'll watch this story with great interest because we've had on the other side of the fence there, Source, where I think he'll stay at the Gold Coast and you think he'll go to any other club. So we'll see who comes out on top with that one later this season. I'll throw the next one at you, and this is a very controversial one, and I don't think, looking at the question, that you can really win on your opinion. You can't win over 100% of the people because everyone's got their own opinion over this. This is the mandated COVID jab, and we're talking about specifically in the AFL. It's mandated that players are jabbed and double jabbed and boosted to be able to play. So Jack Darling, the full forward for the West Coast Eagles, had a stellar year last year. He's decided not to get jabbed for personal reasons. And the question comes, what are your honest thoughts of Jack Darling's decision not to get the vaccine?
Yeah, you are right, Pez. It is a bit of a controversial one. Look, I'm only going to talk from experience, and we've been put in very similar positions, Pez. We both work in industries that mandated the vaccine in order to keep our jobs and keep food on our table and keep paying the bills and survive realistically. We were forced to do it. He's been forced to do it, and he's taken a really strong stance. I guess. In my ears and my honest opinion, it's the voice of safety, I guess, and maybe it is for me. People will view him as selfish, but it's the voice of safety, and I believe in my eyes that the safest approach for me to live my life and be successful in my life and live out my life is to get the vaccine. in his eyes, he obviously doesn't believe that is the safest route, whatever the reason may be. You know, fear of needles, maybe fear of the blood clots, maybe fear of the not enough testing. Everyone is right to their opinion. The big question that a lot of people are going to be putting it on is he putting him above the team? And I think that's really unfair. And I think that's the thing that I've heard the most come out about this, is that he's being really selfish for not, he's leaving his teammates out in the lurch, and he's being really ridiculous, and he should just comply. But at the end of the day, it's the voice of safety going on his head, and he doesn't feel that it's safe for whatever reason. Then I actually am in supporting his decision. I don't agree with his decision, but I definitely support it if it's coming from that. He's doing whatever he believes is the best option for him.
Yeah, and Dom Sheed put it really well in an interview. He doesn't personally support Jack Darling's decision in order not to get the jab, but he supports him as a person and his rights to be able to make that decision. And I think I'm in the same boat. So you did mention that we have been mandated to get the jabs, and we've got the booster in order to keep our job, or else we would have been terminated and not been able to work, not been able to earn that income that we've relied on for many years. So for us, it's kind of like that. Jack Darling, he's probably on a much better wicket than us, and he might have more options, and he might think, you know what, I need a little bit of more time, for whatever reason he's got in his mind and his life and his beliefs. He has a right as a human to actually believe in that and to follow through with it. I don't think he should be looked upon or frowned upon or anything like that. I know it's a tough situation because it looks like from the outside, as say a West Coast supporter, that he's letting down your team, and he's a really important part of it. So if it's someone at your workplace that's done it, they're not going to have the same effect. It's because he's a public figure and people are relying on him and wanting him to be in the team. So I think everyone has the right to either refuse it or not. But with the mandates and things and not being able to actually work in certain industries, if that's your profession, it's a really hard choice. And Jack Darling's obviously got the money behind it or whatever it is to be able to follow through with those beliefs, where some people maybe wouldn't have chosen to get it in the end source, but did because they needed to earn money for their families and to, pay the mortgage, pay the bills, things like that. So we live and we continue, and that's about it. I don't think you can win with this one.
I think that's a really good point, Pez. And you're right. There's no winner in this. Like, it's disappointing we don't get to see an AFL, elite AFL player in Darling. It's disappointing if you're a West Coast fan because, you're obviously your premiership window slips a little bit. It makes it tough to watch your team when you know that there's some elite talent there. But at the same time, as you said, it's he's in the luxurious spot where he's able to have that option of making the choice where, I don't have to do this. So I'm going to do what I feel is right. And it's, he's very lucky to be able to be in that position, to be able to make that true judgment and not be forced to make a decision. And I don't want to dwell on this, Pez, but, if that's what he believes is the safest thing and has the less risks, then, good on him for that. And it's good that he's strong enough to be able to stand up for that. And it's, I'm very jealous that he's in a spot to be able to financially support himself, to have the option to make that decision on his own and not be forced into it. So.
And also with him knowing the backlash from the public that would have come out as well, because we've seen the big drama over the off season with Novak Djokovic flying into Australia and not being allowed in, and then being deported and things like that. So it is happening all over the world, and lots of different things are happening that we can't control, and we just have to make choices and have choices forced upon us for certain things, and that's the way we live, and we still get to choose what we want to do. Just one choice may lead to poverty, homelessness, something like that.
Well, whatever it is, Pez, we're not in that position, so yeah. It's one of those things that is slowly becoming out, and he's not in isolation. Not if you look at just Australia alone. I think it's 89% of Australia is double vax or triple vax or whatever it is. So he's not out there in isolation, and you're right. It is really brave and courageous for him to be able to put his own safety and his own beliefs above everything else. And again, he's in a great position to be able to do that. Pez, I think it's going to be one of those things that as the season develops, there'll be coming some, as the pandemic sort of develops, there will be more and more talk about this when it gets closer and closer to some normality across the world and some more immunity to it, I guess, and becomes more like a common cold. So watch that space. I believe that, he probably will get on the park maybe this year, because I have a feeling that they might sort of lower those expectations of having the mandated vaccine.
Yeah, you could say it could come out with extra research and more people actually being second and third dose and things like that. All right, that wraps up from the fans source. So some great questions that we were able to put together. So thank you to everyone that sent some of those in, and we had a really good discussion there with our segment from the fans. Just one from me, source, and from the host to you. How do you feel? And this is we spoke about your preseason and you having your beers, enjoying your Christmas. But how are you feeling about your preparation during the off season for the upcoming AFL 2022 season?
How am I feeling about it, Pez? I'm feeling. I'll be honest. I think I'll be feeling a little bit under the pump when we're getting into the first couple of rounds, and I think it's just straight out to. I was talking to someone today about something, and they put it a really good way. I think I just need a little bit of match fitness. I feel like I'm not into that routine yet. I have enjoyed the break, and the last 2 years of AFL podcasting as a fan, as a professional in the industry, Pez, was definitely a slog. It was definitely a slog, and I think the normality of work has come back a little bit. And it's just about training myself to get back into those regular routines, to get into that really, really the proper, the artwork of podcasting, Pez, being a little bit more organised with it all, not having the luxury of being at home for 4 or 5 hours and watch all the footy. So I'll be able to get back to watching football and choosing to watch football for the enjoyment aspect of it, not because I have to, because there's nothing else on and I'm stuck at home. So I think the preparation for this podcast probably was a little bit rushed, and it was probably one of those ones, Pez, where we've slung it together and we're coming into the home straight. We're getting into it and 8 days to go, but once it gets up and going, I'm looking forward to it, Pez, and I can't wait to be able to get into the season. I'm starting to slowly get into that mindset. Started doing my ladder prediction today and started doing a little bit of work about it, Pez. But what about you? How are you feeling with this season coming in?
Well, you got just on your answer there. You got to love the honesty source that you bring to the fans there about your preparedness for the upcoming season and a little bit of match fitness. I like that comment as well. Now, myself heading into a betting season for AFL, because primarily that's what we do here each week, and we want to get that 5th year in a row of positive ROI, so positive return on investment. I haven't been keeping up to date with the news as I usually would because of the fatigue of the past 2 seasons. So had a bit of a break and moved away. Also became a first-time father to my beautiful daughter, Chloe. So looking for organisation this year, source, because children under 1, they don't really go, all right, from 7:30 to 8:30, you're going to, have a nap or be quiet. They don't really follow the rules as much as parents out there would know, and non-parents would know as well, with their friends and family having children as well. So being a little bit more organized this year and prepared in ready to go and record. Last year it was kind of like, all right, we've got Thursday night open from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Whenever you want to jump on the Zoom, we'll jump on and do it. Now, it might have to be a little bit more succinct this year, so it'll be interesting to see the turn that takes for the show. But I am super excited, and I can't wait for that first bounce on round 1. And just to finish off the show as well, I know we're going to talk about this in the lead up to round 1, but AFL and final rematch instead of Richmond versus Carlton, which have kept on the Thursday. A quick yay or nay, source.
A quick yay or nay? I'm pretty passionate about this one. I'm a definite nay. I don't love it. I don't love the aspect.
All right, that's all you need to say, because very quick. I am going to I hate it as well. So I hate that the grand final rematch is in round 1. And the reason I wanted to ask that question in this pod, source, is because at Behind the Bound on Twitter, I want you guys to jump on, the listeners there at home. Give us your 2 cents. Yes or no, should the AFL Grand Final be the first game in round 1 played there? You're not going to hear our thoughts until our round 1 preview show next week. So So let us see what this is a good opportunity source. The listeners get to tell us what they think first before they listen to us ramble about it. So there we have it.
Sounds good, Pez. And just to follow up from that first question that you had about the preparedness and how we're going to go this upcoming season, it sounds like probably we're making a little bit of excuses. There are no excuses, Pez. We trust in our systems. We trust in, getting, once we get into the flow of season, getting those results. And I am confident for the 5th year in a row, we'll both hit positive. It's just one of those things where, you know what, I like the idea of what you were talking about in terms of the fatigue of it. Once you get back into it, we trust in our systems, we trust our football knowledge, and we trust in the green money coming in, Pez.
Yep, let's get around that. And the fans, they have the choice. They listen to what we say. They jump on board with us. They don't. We have some fans out there, Source, that love listening to the show that aren't punters themselves. So they just like hearing about the different things that we talk about during that part of the show. So looking forward to it. 2022 coming up. It's been great. It's been a good start tonight, and I'm loving the vibe of it. Behind the Boundary AFL podcast 2022, big year ahead.
Huge year ahead, Pez, and I can't wait to get into round one. Can't wait to get into our ladder predictions, Pez. 8 days to go. Can't wait.
Ladder predictions will be out at Behind the Bound on Twitter when we have that podcast out this coming week. I'm Pez. Peace out.
I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time.